As a part of the lecture series on United Nations Organization, today we are going to discuss on the topic UN General Assembly. To introduce, the Charter of the United Nations was signed on 26 June 1945 in San Francisco at the conclusion of the United Nations Conference on International Organization and came into force on 24 October 1945. The General Assembly is a forum for multilateral negotiation. Established in 1945 under the Charter of the United Nations, the General Assembly occupies a central position as the chief deliberative, policy-making and representative organ of the United Nations organization. There are no other intergovernmental body in the world that enjoys the universal membership as the General Assembly. The General Assembly deals with critical issues related to development, disarmament, education, environment, health crisis, humanitarian assistance, and human rights, etc. Comprising all 193 members of the United Nations, it provides a unique forum for multilateral discussion. The General Assembly is the main deliberative body of the UN, as opposed to the Security Council, which is exclusive and grants unique veto rights to 5 nations. All 193 UN member nations have membership and equal voting rights in the General Assembly. Over the years, General Assembly has become the primary platform for the dialogue between developed and developing states. The structural guidelines and composition of the General Assembly are enshrined in the Chapter 4 of the United Nations Organization's Charter. Now let us talk about the structure of General Assembly. Regarding its composition, according to Article 9 of the Charter, the General Assembly shall consist of all the members of the United Nations with not more than 5 representatives in the General Assembly. There are 7 commissions, including International Law Commission and New Peacebuilding Commission. There are also councils and panels such as the Human Rights Council and other committees that cover a broad range of topics, from the Committee on Rights of the Child to the Committee on the Peaceful Uses of Outer Space. General Assembly also consists of a number of working groups. The General Assembly may also establish such subsidiary organs as it deems necessary for the performance of its functions. The responsibilities and functions and powers of the General Assembly with respect to matters mentioned in paragraph 1, clause B are set forth in Chapter 9 and 10. The functions and powers include conducting financial assessments, elect the non-permanent members of the Security Council, appoint the Secretary General, maintain international peace and security, and ensure humanitarian works. Let us now try to understand the General Assembly from a legal perspective. The Article 10 of the Charter deliberates on functions and powers of the General Assembly. As far as the Article 11 is concerned, the General Assembly may consider the general principles of cooperation in the maintenance of international peace and security, including the principles governing disarmament and regulation of armaments. The General Assembly may discuss any questions relating to the maintenance of international peace and security brought before it by any member of the United Nations or by the Security Council or by a state which is not a member of the United Nations in accordance with Article 35, paragraph 2. Any such question on which action is necessary shall be referred to the Security Council by the General Assembly either before or after discussion. The Article 12 specifies the relationship between the General Assembly and the Security Council. it further clarifies that the General Assembly shall not make any recommendation with regard to the dispute or situation unless the Security Council so request. According to Article 13, Clause 1, A and B, the General Assembly shall initiate studies and make recommendations for the purpose of two important objectives. First, promoting international cooperation in the political field and encouraging the progressive development of international law and its codification. And second, promote international cooperation in the economic and social, cultural, educational and health, and assisting in the realization of human rights and fundamental freedoms for all without distinction as to race, sex, language or religion. According to Article 15 and 16, the General Assembly shall receive and consider annual reports and special reports from the Security Council. Likewise, the Article 17 deals with the budgeting and expenses of the General Assembly. Now, we are going to discuss about subsidiary organs of the General Assembly. The General Assembly may establish such subsidiary organs as it deemed necessary for the performance of its functions, which is laid down in Article 22. The subsidiary organs of the General Assembly are divided into different categories such as boards, commissions, committees, councils and panels, and working groups and others. Since the activities and coverage of the subsidiary organs are so vast, we can only take up a few organs for our discussion here. To start with, a commission. A significant subsidiary body came into force with the United Nations General Assembly Resolution number 1761, which was passed on 6 November 1962 in response to the racist policies of apartheid established by the South African government. As a result, the resolution also established the United Nations Special Committee Against Apartheid, known as the Special Committee Against Apartheid. The committee was originally boycotted by the Western nations because of their disagreement with the aspects of the resolution calling for boycott of South Africa. Even so, the committee found allies in the West, such as the British-based anti-apartheid movement, through which it could work out and lay the ground roots for the eventual acceptance by the Western powers of the need to impose economic sanctions on South Africa to pressure for political changes and stop apartheid. Another commission was created in 1952 under the initiative of General Assembly by its resolution number 502, clause 6 of January 1952. The commission came to be known as the United Nations Disarmament Commission, also known as UNDC, under the Security Council with a general mandate on disarmament questions. The United Nations General Assembly and the Security Council mandated the Commission to work on some significant issues. Number one, to propose integrated strategies for post-conflict peace building and recovery. Number two, to focus on institution building efforts necessary for recovery from conflict. And third, to lay the foundation for sustainable development. We will now talk about special and emergency sessions that can be conducted by the General Assembly. The General Assembly sessions commence annually in September with 2 weeks of open debate in which many world leaders take the opportunity to address the body directly. The General Assembly can also be called into emergency and special session at the request of the UN Security Council or a majority of member states. Memorable extra sessions include an emergency session that was held in 1950 on the issue of North and South Korea, and two recent special sessions that were held to adopt the Millennium Development Declaration in 2000 and set a UN reform agenda in 2005. The power enjoyed by the General Assembly is unique in the sense that it can also take action in cases of a threat to peace, breach of peace, or act of aggression when the Security Council has failed to act owing to the negative vote of a permanent member. The United Nations Charter, Chapter 4, Article 20 provides for the General Assembly to meet in special sessions. With regard to the power to conduct special sessions, the General Assembly is significant. Under the Resolution number 377A, Clause 5, called as Uniting for Peace, adopted by the General Assembly on 3rd November 1950, an emergency special session can be convened within 24 hours. To cite some examples, when the General Assembly conducted its special sessions, the Assembly conducted a special session convened by the Security Council on the situation in the occupied Arab territories from 29 January to 5 February 1982. In another instance, the Assembly has initiated actions that has political, economic and humanitarian implications which have affected the lives of millions of people throughout the world. One such significant intervention is the Millennium Declaration adopted in 2000 and 2005 World Summit Outcome Document reflect the commitment of a member state to reach specific goals to attain peace, security and disarmament along with the development and poverty eradication, safeguard human rights and promote the rule of law, protect our common environment, meet the special needs of Africa, and strengthen the United Nations. Among several other cases of interventions, the General Assembly intervened on the illegal Israel actions in occupied East Jerusalem and the rest of the occupied Palestinian territory. Now we have to discuss about the search for consensus and rejuvenation of General Assembly. Each of the 193 member states in the General Assembly has one vote. Votes taken on crucial issues such as recommendations on peace and security, the election of Security Council and Economic and Social Council members, and budgetary questions require a 2/3 of majority of member states. But other questions are decided by a simple majority. In recent years, an effort has been made to achieve consensus on issues rather than deciding via formal vote, thus strengthening the support for General Assembly's decision. We also have a situation of disparity of power between the General Assembly and the Security Council has certainly been a key motivating factor in the General Assembly revitalization debate. Phrases like enhancing the authority and the role of General Assembly therefore should be interpreted to mean that General Assembly's works should ideally, in view of the many member states, especially from the South, become as important as that of the Security Council, or may even more important. Statements on the role and authority of the General Assembly often stresses that the drafters of the UN Charter had envisioned separate but equally important roles for the General Assembly and the Security Council. The General Assembly On the other hand, according to the most used definition in the revitalization debate, is the chief deliberative policy making and representative organ of the United Nations. The main debate on rejuvenation of the UN in general and General Assembly in particular has highlighted the issues coming up from the North and the South. Critics argue that the Security Council's composition is not sufficiently representative of the UN's current membership, undermining its legitimacy in the larger sense. Towards the conclusion, we can say that although General Assembly resolutions are non-binding on member states, they often have a dramatic and lasting effect. Perhaps the most famous General Assembly declaration is the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, 1948. The Declaration of 1948, largely due to the efforts of former First Lady Eleanor Roosevelt, the document has become the guidebook for human rights in the world. Another important action included the resolution passed in 1950 that allowed for police action to protect South Korea from North Korean aggression. More recently, the General Assembly adopted a Millennium Development Declaration calling for improvements in poverty, illiteracy, health, and environment by 2015. In 2005, the General Assembly passed a resolution for comprehensive reform to make the organization more efficient, transparent, and accountable. It is thus true that the General Assembly is the main deliberative body of the UN, as opposed to the Security Council, which is exclusive and grants unique veto rights. To make the General Assembly more effective, efficient, and relevant, member states have been discussing the revitalization of its work for nearly 17 years. The revitalization debate has focused on some specific issues. To mention some of them: number 1, enhancing the role and authority of the General Assembly. Number 2, the role of the General Assembly in the election of the Secretary General. And number 3, improving the working methods of the General Assembly in general. It can be said that one crucial challenge that the General Assembly confronts is the opposition and mistrust between the member states, especially between the North and the South. The future of General Assembly depends on how such fundamental challenges are resolved to address the international ambitions of member states, particularly those who are still not fully empowered in the realm of UN and global politics. Democratization of UN in terms of representation and lessening of veto politics in UN operational ATOs can provide a better organization of General Assembly and United Nations organization.